Montai is one of the companies in our flagship ecosystem, has set out to revolutionize small molecule drug discovery for chronic disease. And the company has built a powerful technology stack to unlock precision connections between an untapped source of chemistry and powerful biological pathways. In fact, the name Montai means climbing mountains with AI. Here to tell us more about this is CEO and co-founder Margo Georgiadis. Great to have you here, Margo.
It's great to be here.
Great. So tell us a little bit about Montai's mission and approach. What is the big challenge that you've taken on?
Yeah, so Montai really, as you said a couple sentences ago, was really designed to tackle this growing and unsustainable burden of chronic disease. And there are 2 billion people around the world suffering with these diseases. And despite the fact that we've had tremendous innovation in the therapeutic side over the last 20, 30 years, unfortunately, if you look at the most innovative therapies, the biologics, those are actually, even if you take severe patients, less than 50% of those patients have access to those therapies. And then when you look at patients overall, less than 10%. So they're just enormous unmet needs that we need to tackle. And small molecules offer, some of the most important foundations for that. But they've historically had a challenge at drugging some of the validated pathways that underlie the pathophysiology of those diseases.
So tell us a little bit about this term that you've coined, anthromolecules. What does that mean, and what is the space that you're hoping to uncover by looking at anthromolecules?
So as we, took on this what if question, what if we could predictably discover small molecule medicines to tackle this chronic disease challenge? We wanted to start with two things. The first is, how do we start with scaffolds that we know have a history of chronic human consumption? And also, how do we push the boundaries of chemistry? Because one of the challenges is that to drug these more complex pathways, we need a much wider variety of chemical building blocks. And so what we found is those actually are in nature, but it's a subset of nature, which are the bioactive molecules that we've systematically spent a multi-year effort to curate 125,000 of them that we actually know have been chronically consumed by humans. They're actually bioactive, and we actually know a lot about them. But heretofore, without computation and understanding these digitally, and then building the machine learning capabilities to connect them into biological pathways, we really couldn't make the space harnessable. Actually, just making that 125,000 molecules would cost a few $billion, and then you'd have to put them through a high throughput screening campaign. Now we can actually harness them digitally and then make an efficient wet lab development process.
That's incredible. So I know last year when you were here at JP Morgan, you were telling us a little bit about this space and the library that you were building at the time, but it sounds like you've made some great strides in the past year in building out that platform and really turning it into an engine for new molecules that could be therapeutic.
Definitely. I would say 2023 was a huge year of transformation for Montai. We went from being an R&D company that truly proved we could curate these molecules at scale and that we knew how to build leading edge machine learning models to connect them into pathways, but we really became a drug development company in 2023. We advanced 9 targets that are really important that underlie a large number of chronic diseases with candidates, and we demonstrated repeatedly that access to this diverse chemistry was making it efficient and effective for us to find solutions to these pathways that have really eluded a lot of small molecule development for a long time.
So 9 programs. Tell us a little bit about where you're focusing. What kinds of therapeutic and disease modalities will you be looking at, or disease areas, excuse me?
Yeah, we chose to focus first on inflammation and autoimmune, given the enormous unmet need. And of course, those pathways also are systemically connected to a lot of chronic disease, because when you think about what Montai is really doing, we're building 3 really important assets to enable this to happen across as many pathways as possible. This huge aggregation of this untapped diverse chemistry, 85% of this is not in today's synthetic libraries. This ability to understand how to precision match that so we can bring small molecule development to the precision of the biologics. So we really start with pathways first, and then we aggregate this learning across all these different pathways, which enables us to gain more and more efficiency as we move to more areas over time. So really showing that we could do this 9 times this year and really build that repeated process was a big breakthrough for us.
Great. And I understand that you've grown the team quite a bit this year in order to be able to make that transition. Tell us about the team that you've added.
Yeah, I think what's really special about Montai is because we start with the biology, we really wanted to have an integrated drug development team in-house from the start, because the AI is really all about supercharging our scientists with unprecedented optionality in terms of the chemistry, but also in terms of decision making. So I'll be able to give you a simple example. If we choose a target to go after, we know in about 3 months we make the nominations from this pool of chemistry. And when we make those nominations, we're actually able to not only understand, because we start with bioactivity versus binding, we know that it's bioactive on the pathway, that we know of a high potential candidate, but in all drug development, there's always trade-offs when you select a candidate. So not only have we made those nominations, but we've invested to create amazing visualization tools that enable our drug developers to actually understand the tolerances of what would keep some chemistry in versus other chemistry out, so that they feel like they can actually benefit from the machine learning AI. How did it get there? How did it get to the solutions? Why did it rank some higher than others? Maybe I would actually trade off some of those properties differently. And so we really empower them to understand that, and then we can run a wet lab process. It's very efficient because we already know the liabilities that we're managing.
Wonderful. It sounds like an incredible set of tools that you're building in order to really speed up drug discovery for your team.
It's a really exciting time.
Great. Well, speaking of time, what are you looking forward to in 2024? What can we expect from Montai over the next 12 months or so?
Yeah, so for all biotech companies, we have a vision. We start with these ideas, we aggregate these capabilities, but what we really started out to do is to make great drugs that can work for patients. And so we're excited in 2024 to declare our first DCs.
Okay.
We're also excited because of the depth of the pipeline that we've advanced and the scalability of our platform to begin working with pharma partners, either on our existing assets, so to collaborate with us in that development process, and or to pursue new areas where they want to increase the depth of their indication leadership.
Okay.
And in addition to that, as we really try to think about drug development as an engineering problem for small molecules, and this is something we just haven't been able to do, but we truly believe that by blending the best of AI and the best of biology and drug development, that we can actually systemically do that. So every month, every quarter, right, we are getting more sophisticated at our ability to bring that unprecedented optionality and integrated decision making. So all of our guys sit into the room. There's no sequential development at Montai. Every selection, every decision happens with that cross-functional team together. And I think this is a huge opportunity for us to really make drug development much more efficient and effective.
Great. So it sounds like turning drug discovery into an engineerable problem, untapped chemistry, and really precise biology, bringing those things together at Montai with some great things ahead. Thank you, Margot, for being here.
Thank you.